as well. And I just have to say that yesterday, when it was the fall equinox, and all of a sudden it turned cold right on cue, it felt like, well, you know what? Maybe Rosh Hashanah is coming on time this year. Because always we say like, oh, is it a little early? Is it a little late? But I feel like when it comes with this season, and the season feels like right now, and when we can actually talk about doing this kind of teshuvah, this kind of turning, and we see that the leaves are turning right on cue also, it feels like we're all so aligned with us as a community, with the universe. Maybe it then tells us that we can do that turning, that teshuvah, that looking within, especially because in this time, that fall equinox means that the nights are going to get longer and the days are going to get shorter, and there's going to be more darkness outside. But what if instead what we do with this time is we look for the light inside ourselves, in this community, in this place for love and support and guidance as we do the difficult work of teshuvah. So here we are on this Shabbat, just before we reach Rosh Hashanah. And I love the way in which we start this Shabbat by being able to have outside light match our light within, to remind us that as we protect this Shabbat, well, then we guard the light. We make sure that we're able to turn toward ourselves and the best that's in us, that light, and bring it out in the world, because that's what we can do when we rest and kindle the lights of Shabbat. So I love seeing so many beautiful friends among us. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Adam Ben David. But you're here, and we love you so much. So would you please come and, if you would, yes, kindle the light of Shabbat. And why don't you do it with our other beloved musicians, Hannah and Ethan. Minkyu can stay and she can play a little on the piano. Minkyu, there's going to be another special something that we invite you for. Oh, this is so special. Yes. You see, when Minkyu comes up to the bima, we know that amazing things are going to happen. So as we kindle these lights, the prayer is found on page 120. Adam, I don't know how you got out of this.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you so much. And now I would like for Kiddush to invite our extraordinary clergy team. So Rabbi Gelman, Rabbi Singer, Cantor Ben David, and tonight we'll call him Rabbi Perlin. Would our executive director, Jeremy Perlin, please join us on the bima as we welcome in Shabbat and the sweetness of this time with our Kiddush. It's found on page 123. In body, in spirit, we rise.
No. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lemasei v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziyat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch ata Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim. That was out of love, Jeremy. Mwah. We continue now. If you are standing, please be seated as we turn to page 138 and welcome another guest into our midst, the Sabbath bride. As we sing the words of Lecha Dodi, we sing the verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on that ninth and final verse, we rise and we turn toward the entrances of our homes, the entrances of our sanctuary. And some of us even bow as we welcome in that presence to be able to lighten us on this Shabbat.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'litila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavela. Pnei Shabbat nikavela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki makor ha'bracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machashava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavela.
Sholom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha utzola, toch emunei am sigula, boi chala, lecha yodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikavela, lecha yodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikavela.
Please have a seat if you're standing. As we invite these messengers of peace to bless us with peace, I invite you to turn to someone near you and let them know one little maybe that Oh, thank you. Well, that was so kind. So maybe you could just turn and share with someone near you one little gift of peace on this Shabbat that you would love to experience. Whether that would be a nap, reading a good book, a little uninterrupted time looking at the lake, a sunrise, I don't know. You'll have to tell someone near you what little gift of peace you would like to enjoy on this Shabbat. Take a moment to do that. Well, I love that I just saw a little hug, a little embrace on this Shabbat. That seems like maybe one of those gifts of peace that we are going to enjoy on this Shabbat. Page 142, we sing together the words, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei
Page 146, we rise for the Baruch Hu. As we turn to page 148, we read and pray the Hebrew together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mashane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmorotehem barakia kirsono, Boreyom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom.
U'mevi layla, u'mavdil ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yochaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hamarim v'aravim.
And as we take our guide, our light from the Torah that expresses God's love for us and lights our way ahead into this Shabbat, into our new year, we say, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The Michelin star chef, Jose Andres, was asked why he does so much and gives back so much. He answered, I received so much in my life. I'm only as good as the people who invested time in me and knowledge. Every one of us, we are who we are to others. Sometimes we don't even recognize those who we are influencing. We receive more. We receive more than we can ever give back. One of those first moments as a Jewish people where we received such a gift that we could never give back, we celebrate with the receiving of freedom on page 158. This is like the gift section of our tefillah, because we turn to page 162, continuing appreciation of those gifts, this time of that gift of Shabbat.
162, Sholom.
On the next page, page 164, and continuing on even pages, we rise for the core of our worship service, the Amidah.
Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Ha'norah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Ha'kol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Shiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah, Rav Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Ashrim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Mishenei Achar, Michamocha Bal Gvurot, U'Miro Melach, Melech Memit, U'Mechayeh, U'Matzliach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
None of us likes change. Yes, we will mouth many prayers during the coming days of awe, but few of us will seriously intend to embark on the process of change, that long amount of work informed by our words of our prayers. Some of us are happy with our lives, see no reason to change. Others of us are unhappy with our lives and may hesitate to commit to change when we aren't sure about where that change will take us. During this time of Elul, leading into the High Holy Days, we have to muster that courage to examine our inner lives, overcome what holds us back from change and our complacency and our fear of the unknown. May the Tekiah Gedolah of these upcoming days, may that last sustained blast of the shofar imbue us with the courage to pursue change. We take a moment of silent prayer and meditation, each of us in our own way, and when you feel ready, you may be seated.
Shalom Bimroma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom.
When his sister Miriam is stricken with that biblical disease of tzara'at, Moses prays a short but effective one-line healing prayer. El na rafa na la. Please, God, heal her now. This prayer has 11 Hebrew letters in it. And when we look at other words, other lines of 11 letters, we come upon the same way that God describes God's self when God is looking as the burning bush. When God says, I am Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, I will be who I will be. When we use this short prayer for healing, we implicitly call upon God who is ever changing. We call upon the God who is continually becoming, the one to become, to heal, to strengthen our loved ones in those times of need, those times of transformation and change. If there's anyone in your life who is in need of those blessings of healing, calling upon Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, the one who will be who God will be, we ask you to share their names aloud as our friends on Zoom will see names that were submitted online as well. We pray the words of El Na Rafana La, which...
Some of the text can be found second to last prayer on 677.
677.
The only thing you have to remember is that we tag it with the beautiful line of Refuah Shlema.
El Na Rafana La, El Na Rafana La, El Na Rafana La, Refuah Shlema. El Na Rafana La, El Na Rafana La, El Na Rafana La, Refuah Shlema. El Na Rafana La, El Na Rafana La, El Na Rafana La, Refuah Shlema.
Shabbat Shalom. So a few years ago, I was teaching a class for people who were interested in diving more deeply into Judaism. And I remember that one of the men in the class raised his hand and he said, every year I go to Yom Kippur services and I fast and I sit there all day and I do everything I'm supposed to do. And the next day I wake up and guess what? I'm still the exact same person that I was the day before. I don't understand what the point is. What's supposed to happen? So tonight, I've had the last few years to think about this question, and I wanted to share a story that I think is one response to this question. And I wanted to share this story because I think that it helps us think about how to answer this question, and because we're about to hear a lot of sermons over the next few days. And so I thought that tonight we could do a story instead. So this story takes place in a town called Chelm. And for those of you who, I see some nods, yes, some of us know and love Chelm. For those of you who haven't heard of Chelm before, Chelm is a place that shows up in a lot of Jewish storytelling. And Chelm shows up in a lot of Jewish storytelling because it's a town in Jewish stories that is famous for people who are like some people we know and love, and sometimes who are people who we are like ourselves. And that is a very complicated way of saying people who are often confused. So Chelm is a place for people who are often confused. Well, once upon a time in Chelm, there was a man named Moshe. And Moshe was having dinner one night with his friend from the neighboring town. Moshe was having dinner with his friend Dov. And Moshe and Dov are sitting there and talking. And Moshe turns to Dov and says, Dov, how have things in your town been recently? And Dov says, you know, Moshe, things have been really stressful since we had our fire. Moshe goes, oh my God, a fire? What happened? Is everyone okay? Dov says, Moshe, don't worry. It was all fine. We sounded the drums. Everyone got up. Everyone got out okay. Everything is okay. They kept talking. They enjoyed their dinner. They went home and went to bed. Well, the next day, Moshe woke up and he was so excited because he went to the leaders of the town of Chelm and he said, I have something very important to tell you that I learned yesterday. There is a magical thing you can do when there's a fire. If you play the drums, then people will be okay if there's a fire. Well, of course, the leaders of the town of Chelm took fires very seriously, as we ourselves do at Temple Sholom. And they said, okay, thank you, Moshe, for telling us about this magical response to fire. We will invest in 100 drums. So they bought 100 drums, and they had them, every single house had its own drum in case there was a fire. Well, a few months later, it was, a long time ago, fires happen, and somebody's barn caught on fire. They knew exactly what to do. They took out their drum and they started drumming. And other people heard the drums and they took out their drum and started drumming. And everybody came and they drummed and drummed and drummed. And guess what? The fire kept going. Well, the people were very disappointed. They said, Moshe, what is wrong? Your magical drumming, it didn't work. And Moshe learned, and I think that we all learn, that this is similar sometimes to prayer, or even to the shofar, that it's supposed to be a wake-up call. It's supposed to be an alarm, but it can't do all of the work for us, and it can't put out the fires for us. That is something we have to do ourselves. So these high holidays, as we pray and as we listen to the shofar and as we try to wake up, I want to leave us with two questions. The first is, what is something in ourselves that we're trying to wake up to? Where do we need that shofar? Where do we need that drumming? But the second is, and then what are we going to do about it? What are we going to hear? What are we going to do when we hear the sound of the shofar? What are we going to do after a day of praying and then another day of praying and maybe a day of fasting? How do we work towards taking the steps that we need to make those changes in our life? And that is our story of Chelm. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. We are going to rise in body and in spirit and turn to page 586 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, לגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Please be seated. This is a time that, we are turning to our announcements. Is this possible? It is wonderful. Please help me with announcements. Thank you.
Well, we have some things to announce, but I think we should have it, whoever's best mic'd should maybe make the
I can
announcement.
start.
Perfect.
Okay. So annual high holiday food drive is taking place now through Yom Kippur. So we are going to be collecting food and donating it to Nourishing Hope, which is formerly Lakeview Pantry. And we ask that you, if you're able, you can bring non-perishable donations to the temple. We accept all non-perishable donations, and you can see a full list online.
Tomorrow at 11 o'clock is Rosh Hashanah Tot service starting. It's going to be only in person.
By the way, don't worry if you started to panic thinking, is Rosh Hashanah tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's not. But we're going to celebrate with the tots.
But if you guys want to come and
early.
celebrate with the Tots, you're welcome. You want to tell them about cider?
Sure. So if you are Makom age, so if you're between the ages of 21 and 39, you are welcome to join us for a pre-Rosh Hashanah services cider tasting. You do need to register, so you can find that registration on our website, and we would love to see you there.
And since I have the mic, can I just run through and just mention all these beautiful experiences that are about to happen? Erev Rosh Hashanah, our congregational service begins Sunday, September 25th at 7:30 p.m. It's mixed presence. The next day, there's a family service at 9 a.m. That's Monday at 9 a.m. Mixed presence for our Rosh Hashanah family service. And our congregational service starts at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock mixed presence on Monday. And the reason why I say it like that is because the next day, the second day of Rosh Hashanah, the service starts at 10:30. All right? So what time does the service start on Monday morning? You guys.
What about the family service?
Family service starts at?
Oh, wow.
And then second day starts at? And then
10:30.
at the lakefront on Monday, September 26th at 4 p.m. Show up with your bread or your disintegrating paper. Some people dropped pebbles one year. We were throwing rocks at the ducks. So come at 4 o'clock for Tashlich. Casting our sins into the lake. You remember that? Yeah, you get to do that again. 4 o'clock.
And I'll just say that we're going, can I share your mic?
Yes.
Oh my God, how do I write this? Thank you. So I'll just say that at 4 o'clock for Tashlich, it is I think it's one of the most amazing ways to close that first day of Rosh Hashanah together as a community, where we all walk down to the lake together. We'll be providing disintegrating paper so that you can actually write down the things that you got a little wrong this past year, and you can cast them into the lake, and it disintegrates in a way that doesn't harm the ducks or the fish, but instead it really does help our souls. So it's a wonderful way to be able to do that all together. So just one last time, what time is the service, the congregational service on Monday morning? And what time is the second day Rosh Hashanah service? And what time is Tashlich?
And Erev Rosh Hashanah. 7. Amazing. We're ready for the new year.
Can't wait to see you.
So 50 people will be there. That's it. That's it.
Well,
You guys are the ones we want most, so it's fine with me.
now I'll be there on time, which is very helpful for me, so thank you. So Rabbi Conover was saying at the beginning of the service that Rosh Hashanah has come exactly on time, that the weather has cooled down a little bit, and the feeling of fall is in the air. And this is the time, I think, when we revisit so many memories of people we loved and still love, people who were missing at this time of year, people who took care of us through this season, who we took care of through this season, people who we're thinking of. So if there's somebody whose name you'd like to share, who you've lost in the last year, in the last month, in the last years at this time, please share their name as I pass my hand around the room. we add to those names Roger William Appel, Toby Kessler, Mary Jane Pollock, Philip Abramowitz, Victor Krupman, Carlos Guillermo Rosowski, Irving Abramowitz, Joshua Aaron, Clara Bassler, Charlotte Brown, Nancy Cohen, Sheila F. Serluck, Suzanne DeGraff, Philip Dorman, Hal Buddy Dune, Marvin Einhorn, Francis Eisenberg, Pearl Freilich, Isidore Friedman, Melvin Gelman, Laura Michelle Gertzfeld, William Ginsberg, Florence Gore, Yetta Hefferman, Francis Ardman Hilton, Seymour Kessler, Annette Kimmelman, Beatrice Leibowitz, Marcia Lepetz, Maurice Maber, Arlen Miner, Joshua Narens, Jean Early Nesmith, Lydia Pasternak, Francis Jean Patterson, Louis Persky, Ronald Repka, Sidney Rotman, Joseph Rubin, Sydney Rudnick, Diane Schatz, Elaine Stone Colburn, John Torini, Ronald Wolfe, and Shirley Zaremski. May their memories be for a blessing. We turn to our mourner's Kaddish. We're on page 591.
598.
598.
Please rise, if it's your tradition. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach kirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru. Yehi shlam arav amin shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom imromav, yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, imru, amen. You can stay standing. Keep the airways open so you can sing loudly on page 626. I'm going a little traditional because we're heading into the thick of tradition. All right? Ein Keloheinu, ein Kadoneinu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kamoshienu, ich Eloheinu, ich Kadoneinu, ich Emalkeinu, ich Kamoshienu. Nodal Eloheinu, Nodal Adoneinu, Nodal Emalkeinu, Nodal Moshienu.
May we feel the excitement of this Shabbat as we head into these beautiful holidays. But we have to rest first before we get there. So I hope you have a Shabbat of joy, a Shabbat of rest, and a Shabbat of peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Oneg is in Lakeshore Lobby. Oneg is straight down the center aisle for Lakeshore Lobby. So we can go schmooze and have snacks together